Okay, today I want to address a problem that apparently is pretty common to owners of the Invicta 8926 Pro Diver watch, and probably any Invicta watch that has the rotating bezel on it. That is that often you'll hear people say, "Oh, it's really hard to turn." Mine, when I got it out of the box, it was impossible to turn. I mean, I had to fight for every click on this dial. I mean, I was digging my fingernails into the serrations there, and fighting, and I could maybe get one or two clicks. And after a couple of days of doing this, my fingernails were torn up, my fingertips were raw, but I could get along the top of the dial, I could get it to move fairly fairly easily until about 9 o'clock, and then it would just stick. And then it was, a fight for, I'd move the bezel back and forth a little bit, get some play in the retaining spring, and and then keep, I could get it maybe to, a couple, 2 or 3 clicks until I got to around, 3 o'clock, and then it would move again at the top of the dial. It would move fairly easily, until I got back down to 9 o'clock. So I went through this for a couple of days. And I had the distinct impression after doing this that there was something caught between the bezel and the case, whether it was a burr in the from the manufacturing that hadn't been removed, or even just a little flake of metal. Something. It wouldn't take much because there's really not much tolerance between these two parts here. There's no daylight there, and that idea, I was pretty sure that was what the problem was, because it was really stuck. It wouldn't be hard to turn. It was, stuck. It was impossible to turn. So, I went on the web and I looked at some forums and things, and people were talking about taking the bezel off. And if you can find some videos of submariners where it's a fairly easy thing. You slide a blade underneath here, and you push up, and it pops off with not too much pressure. But the Invicta retaining spring covers a good 3/4 of the surface of the bezel, and it's really kind of difficult apparently to take off. And I didn't want to get into that. The watch was only a couple days old, and so then it dawned on me. This is a diver's watch. It's not afraid of water, and if there is a little piece of metal stuck in there, maybe I could get it wet and maybe not float it out, because there's nowhere for it to go, but maybe just move it out of the the ratchet mechanism where it was tying things up. So I screwed down the crown to make sure it was watertight, and then I put it on and took my shower in the morning, and I didn't soap it. I didn't, some people were talking about, trying to get oil in between there or something, to loosen it up. I didn't put soap in it. I didn't, get shampoo in it. I just let it get wet. I didn't even go out of my way to make sure that, I didn't stick it under the nozzle or anything. And then, after a couple of minutes, I tried to turn it. Of course, it was wet, so it didn't want to turn very well. So what I did was I ended up taking a washcloth and laying it on top of it and turning it. And what do you know? It started to turn. So I was able to, for the first time, get, a couple of turns out of it without any resistance. So, I kept doing that. I did that, 10 times or so, and while I was still in the shower, and then I came out. And ever since, it's been turning normally. So now, before, when I had it on my wrist, I would, I would be pushing so hard on the bezel to turn it that I was afraid I was going to shear this, shear one of the pins here. I mean, that's seriously how much pressure I was putting on it. And now with 2 fingers, I can just turn it, just as normally as it's supposed to turn, and so solution. And I happen to think that my theory was probably correct, because that was about, 2 weeks ago now that I did that. And, if it was just the water that was lubricating it, any thin film of water that might have, formed underneath there has long evaporated, and it still turns very easily. So I suspect that's it. Perhaps a little piece of, from the manufacturing, when they put it together, they didn't blow out the ratchet well enough, and there was a little something in there that was tying up the, getting between the ratchet and the spring or something, and causing it to stick. And now it's fine. So if you've got a watch like this, or I would say probably any Invicta watch that has the rotating bezel. If I got another one today and I had the same problem, I would immediately put it in a bowl of water, maybe not even take a shower, just put it in a bowl of water, swish it around, move the bezel back and forth a little bit, to get some play in it, and then start turning it. And I think that would probably do it for you. I mean, it worked for me, and I hope it works for you. You won't have to go through the hassle of trying to take it off and gouging, because, I mean, let's face it, this is not Rolex quality steel. You start sticking, a knife blade or a screwdriver underneath here and try to pry it up, you're guaranteed to gouge that metal. So this is simple, take you 5 minutes, and I think it'll probably work for you too. So that's my tip for the day. I hope this helps somebody out.